Alrighty, everyone in Facebook worlds, we are live. And just give
Hello,
us
hello. Hi, Kim. How are you?
hello. How are you?
And hello, Instagram world. Hello, hello, and welcome to today's episode number 108 of Window Treatment Friday Live. And today's topic is Ripplefold drapery hardware. We specifically want to concentrate on the hardware portion of Ripplefold. Ripplefolds have been very, very popular. Um, and my friend Kim from WindowWorks will be joining us in just 1 second.
Okay.
Come on,
All right.
accept. Are
All
you
right.
seeing?
I see you.
Okay,
Now,
good. Hello, hello, everyone who's just joining us now. This is Window Treatment Friday Live. This is when Kim and I hang out here every Friday morning and give you all sorts of tips and inspiration and education on all things window treatments.
yes. And pretty soon, when Vita joins us on Instagram, I will no longer be a floating head in front of sample books.
You look just fine. You don't look like a floating head. Okay, I am.
All
Do you want to
right.
tell our listeners what we're talking about
All
today?
right, today is episode number 108. If you are just joining us, welcome. And we are going to be discussing Ripplefold drapery hardware. If a couple weeks ago we dived into French return hardware, and then we kind of decided, there you are on Instagram world. Hey,
Hello,
Vita.
everyone. Hello, hello.
We decided, you know what, let's kind of do a little bit of a deep dive on Ripplefold hardware. Now, we have done prior episodes on taking the Ripplefold apart, talking about the snap tape and all that other good stuff, the fullness. So if you kind of go through our archives, maybe we can even figure out what episode number we did discuss
We can put
the
that into
hardware.
comments.
We could
Yes.
put that into the comments so that this way you can start there if you're new to Ripplefold, and then follow up with this episode.
Yes. So, ooh, where did I go?
You went
Oh,
dark.
I'm right
Okay, there you
here.
are. You're back.
All right.
All
So,
right.
Kim, yes, set us up with some basics.
Okay, so this right here is an example of the Kirsch Architrack hardware. So it is your basic, it's going to be your most basic hardware that you can do with any type of window treatment, whether it's a pleated drape or a ripple fold drape. Now, probably, I want to say 10 years ago, this was really our only option when it
Hmm.
came to ripple fold.
That's so
So we
true.
had to do this type of non-decorative, really, um, just a non-decorative
Basic, very
basic,
basic, kind of a little bit commercial looking, not
right.
necessarily pretty. There was no frills about it. It's just like, bam, you're there.
There it is. And so, and I remember for the longest time, it just came in white. And
That's
then when
true.
they introduced the silver, the black, and the bronze, we were like,
We were so
yes,
excited.
we hit the lottery. We have another color other than white. And because it was a little tough when you were wanted to do a ripple fold and you wanted it to be decorative. And the
Mhm.
whole purpose of it is to, it's a little bit more of a contemporary type of treatment. And when the only way to hang it was with these rods, you kind of had to be like, okay, this is it.
This is it. This is it.
So,
But however, we made the best of it, right?
yes,
And
we
here
made
you
it
have
work.
an example of a great project that you did for
Yes.
someone who's famous.
So, yes, this is actually Luann's family room. So, when they came out with this silver um ceiling or the silver finish on the Architrack rod, we thought, wow, we definitely want to use it because as you can see, her ceiling is painted red, and we didn't want to do a white track going across because a lot of the finishes that she had in the space were in that silver kind of pewter color. So with this, she wanted to go wall to wall, ceiling mounted. So the cool thing about the Architrack is you have two ways that you can operate operate the rod. You could
Mhm.
either do it baton draw, so like in a hotel, there's a clear acrylic baton or a fiberglass baton or a metal baton, however, whatever baton application you prefer, that gets snapped onto the back of the drape. We here at WindowWorks prefer that it goes behind the drape.
Yep.
You can do it where it goes in front, but it's not pretty. So we
it
always,
breaks up the flow of the
yeah,
fabric and the drape and the whole thing. Yeah,
it's
so
just
we
there
try to put it
hanging.
in the back as well.
Yeah, so we like putting it in the back, but for this particular, installation, because we were going floor to ceiling, wall to wall,
Mhm.
Luann decided that she wanted to do a cord draw. So again, she
And
just
also, it's
stands
so
on one edge.
high, the baton,
Yes,
you barely reach the baton unless you make it super long.
right, which there was, I did find an extra long baton
Mhm. Yeah, they
for
do
from
sell them, but
yeah,
they're heavy. I mean,
the
it's like a piece of weaponry.
yeah, it's a lot of work. I did a 12, a 10.5 foot high, or no, it might have been 12. It was 12. It was 12-foot high, install in a restaurant where it was a Ripplefold drape as
Mhm,
like a divider panel, but they wanted the flexibility to either stack it from one side of the restaurant or the other. And the
mhm.
restaurant owner said I wanted on a baton, and she was 5'1".
Okay, so she needed something really, really long.
And I thought, "Well, you're really little." So I found a really long baton
Yep.
that they're able to move it back and forth. So that's a very, cool thing about the Architrack, system, is that it works when you want the rod to disappear, and you do have the flexibility to have it either baton draw or cord draw, and there's also 2 different, lead carrier styles that we're going to go into now in the, Ripplefold hardware episode. And you do have the flexibility to specify which lead carrier. I'm just going to let you know here because you can kind of see that there's an overlap.
Mhm,
So in the middle, you no longer see the undulating waves. You see it where it goes on like flatter, just kind of like a pleated drape. So for this particular application, we went with
mhm.
an overlap carrier.
Right. Okay. So that's actually a really good segue into talking about master carriers. And
Yeah.
really, you guys, this is kind of the point of the episode today. So, in the
Hmm.
past, like you mentioned, we did talk about the sort of anatomy of Ripplefold draperies, how they're made, what they're used for, some of the pitfalls, the ins and outs, things like that, fullnesses. Today, we really want to concentrate on the hardware aspects of the Ripplefold drape. The reason it's important, well, there's lots of reasons, and we're going to go into them. That's actually the point of the episode. So, but right now, this slide that you're looking at, it is the picture of the master carrier. Now, the master carrier is, let me just actually flip back to our picture of the Kirsch hardware. So you see these little guys all along the rod itself. Those are regular carriers, and they
Hmm.
are, in a sense, they're like dumb carriers because all they do is they just go,
Follow the
they're
master.
getting pulled back and forth. The master carrier, the queen bee, is this guy right here. So you're seeing it. I'm kind of using my cursor up here. If you can see, that's in the middle of this hardware, and it's in silver. So that's the really the main thing that drives all the carriers on back and forth on the rod. So there's two different kinds of master carriers as it relates to Ripplefold. The first kind is called the overlap master carrier, and it looks exactly like what you're seeing in the picture, and it means exactly what it says. I even have some um, visual aids here today. It means that one side of the master and the other side, one goes under, the other one goes over, just like that. It exactly what it says. It overlaps. Boom, 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 and boom.
I feel like a flight attendant.
I know, right? Yes, the closest exit may be behind you. The closest overlap carrier is right in front of you, right here. So this is how it works. One goes behind, and one is flatter, and the other one protrudes forward so that it can go in front of the other one. So just like that.
Correct.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, and this is a good application if you're doing a blackout drape
Mm-hmm.
because you want the panels to overlap from one another. So these are kind of the nudgy details that we often talk about here, is knowing what carrier to specify. Now, designers, if you're watching, this is something that your window treatment specialists aren't going to expect you to specify. We're going to come to you and say our professional opinion, blackout drape, let's go overlap. drape with a trim.
Mhm.
Let's go overlap.
Which
And
actually
then
brings
there's
us to this picture right here,
yeah.
right? Because this is a project that we did here at Vitalia Inc. And we agonized over, yes, we agonized over these things. I know it sounds ridiculous, but we do. So we agonized over which kind of master carrier to use here. Ultimately, we decided on the overlap carrier because of this beautiful trim that we had on the leading edge. So what
Mhm.
happens is because this overlap carrier, it always faces forward. The piece of fabric or the trim or whatever you have on the leading edge will always be visible. So, a piece of advice, if you do have a fancy trim that you really want to showcase, it is best to use the overlap carrier if you're doing ripple fold drapes.
Even if you're doing a ripple fold as a stationary application, because oftentimes our default when it's stationary is to go butt master.
Mhm.
But if you have a gorgeous trim, that you're it's there to show off. So we'll often default to the overlap when
Mm,
it's a
mhm.
um, room darkening situation and B a trim application.
Okay, so now you guys, you've heard about two different scenarios where you definitely want to use or really strongly consider the overlap carrier. I want to tell you some of the negative aspect of the overlap carrier. And
Hmm.
what it is really is it breaks up the flow of the drape.
Yep.
One of the most beautiful things about the ripple fold drapery is the way it folds in and out and in and out. It kind of goes in this S curve, and it's really pretty that way. And that's where a lot of people like it. The overlap then all of a sudden breaks up that flow. So instead of going in and out, it just goes straight like that. So if I were to flip back to Luann's picture, if you guys can see, it's a bit far, but you can see how most of the drape goes in and out, in and out, in and out, and then the center it just kind of stops flat,
Yeah.
and it creates sort of like this weird breakup in the, how, what did you call it, adulation,
It
undul
undulates.
undulate. I don't know that word.
I can't even take credit for that. That was Jody McWright for she's a designer here out of Short Hills, and
Uh-huh.
anytime she used that to describe a ripple fold. She's like,
It's
I just love how the fabric undulates. And I said, Jody, I am stealing that. That is
I love that.
brilliant.
I wish I could say that I'll steal it too, but there's no way I'll remember the word. It sounds way too fancy for me.
Yeah.
So, but back to my point, the only negative of the overlap carrier is that it breaks up the undulation of the drape. So, if you're really,
Yes.
really wanting to have that entire wall be in and out, continuous undulating and folding and S curving, then do not go with the overlap carrier.
Right.
Okay, so if
Exactly.
you don't go with the overlap carrier, what is your option? Ah, let us tell you. The
Dun, dun,
option
dun,
is,
dun.
you take it.
The very funny Buttmaster carrier.
I know. Couldn't they come up with a better
I
word
I
description?
mean, but when you think about it,
They're budding.
they're butting up
They're
together.
budding. They're budding. Yep. Oh, they could have called kissing. You know, they
Oh,
don't have to bud. It could have been the kissing master
but
carrier.
it
I
kind
kind
of
of like it
almost
better.
almost looks like a butt too.
All right, we're not going to get into
Yeah.
the anatomy
Yeah.
of the thing.
But basically, where you had the overlap, where the panels, the
Meat.
meet in the
Hmm.
middle, they literally are overlapping. These are butting together or kissing
Here's my,
together.
my,
Maybe
my
maybe we'll
visual
start a
aid.
trend.
Yes, maybe we'll start a trend. So see,
And
so here is the butt master. It actually folds at a 40, not folds, what it called, turns at a 45-degree angle, just like that. So this would be the one side, the right side, and this would be the left side. These happen to be two different companies. I just wanted to show you how they come in different finishes. This is white, this
mhm,
is brown, and um, here the um,
they
the
come
two
together.
butt masters, they come together, so they go apart when they draw apart, and when they draw close they come together just like that.
Yes. And
So no overlapping.
so no overlapping. And to Vita's point, earlier on, that the undulation can continue once the panels meet in the center. Now, the reason why we don't suggest doing this with a blackout drape application
Yes.
is it's not a perfect because it's fabric,
Hmm.
okay? They will meet in the middle, but you see here, like, I can't even get my knuckles together. You will get a little bit of a light gap.
That's right.
So if you are working with a client or if you're a homeowner that's very light sensitive that
Hmm.
needs Las Vegas blackout, we
Hmm.
have to go to the overlap. You're still going to get a little bit of a light bleed, but it's not going to be as severe as this line that goes straight down the middle of your drapery panels.
That is exactly right. And here we have a quick picture for you showing you what a buttmaster drapery looks like. Um, Split draw, and you cannot see the difference between the left panel and the right panel. Where they meet in the middle is pretty seamless, if you will, at the
Mhm.
top, so that the undulating is nice and uninterrupted.
Correct. Yeah. So, and what you're seeing here now is not only I know we're focusing a little bit on the lead carrier situation, but these two projects of the overlap and of the butt master that we're showing you what has come out in the last, I want to say, I don't know, I guess 10 years. Much nicer without the overlap, right, Mimi?
Hmm. That's
Exactly.
right.
Um, Now we have the ability to do it on decorative rods.
Mhm.
So back when we did Luann's project 10 plus years ago, we had to go with the simple track. Now we went with the simple track because we were going into the ceiling.
Mhm.
But if you were doing a wall application like we had in the previous slides, like what Vita showed with the overlap explanation, you see here you're installing it under the crown molding. It's a decorative, nice decorative traversing track. um, and but a couple years ago, we would have to put the curse track there, and it wasn't so pretty.
That's right. It's only in the
So,
last few years that we've had these options of really pretty decorative rods. And
uh,
that's what we used in both of these projects. With the overlap carrier, we used a decorative rod and it's mounted on the wall. And in this situation, we used also a decorative rod and this guy's also mounted onto the wall as well, not the ceiling, even though it is at the ceiling height. There's pretty much no spacing there, or very little spacing there at the
and
top.
you can tell that it's not directly to the ceiling because light is still peeking through the top.
And the reason the light is speaking through the top is because the base of the bracket
Hmm.
is taller than the actual rod itself. So
Yep.
there's a little bit of that light bleed. And to Kim's earlier point, to kind of go back to the blackout drapes, if your client, this happens to be a bedroom, but the client was not as light sensitive as some others. So that's a conversation to have with your client. If she or he are very light sensitive and they want that Las Vegas blackout, then this would not work for them because even mounted as close to the ceiling as physically possible, you still see that light bleed that's happening at the top.
Yeah, there's I don't know if we need to go into an episode of bracket deductions, but we can.
We can.
We can. I don't know how.
I'm afraid we're going to put people to sleep.
I know. I don't know how interesting it is, but yeah, but those are again things that you have to take into account when you're knowing what kind of hardware you're specifying and what kind of treatment, because say if your client did need it to be completely blackout, then this whole conversation of it would have to be mounted to the ceiling. Now, the cool thing is the decorative rods now also have ceiling clips, so they
Hmm.
can sit flush to the ceiling. They're not so much fun to install. We do them a
Yeah,
lot.
they're tough.
Um,
But you know what? I would even say, even the ceiling mount decorative rod, you'll still have a
you
little
have a
bit of
little
a
bit
light
of
bleed. The
because yeah.
only way, and I think you would agree, but you let me know,
Mm,
the only way to get rid of the light bleed 100% is to do layers. And so in this
yes.
situation, okay, good. So in this situation, even if this hardware were ceiling mounted, the only way to get rid of that live bleed would be to put some sort of cornice over top of it. And that's why in hotels and on like cruise ships, a lot of times you see a wooden cornice or like a pocket
Pocket.
made yeah, to prevent all those live bleeds. And usually in hotels, your draperies are sitting inside that pocket.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes we even go into like 3 layers, but then again, if
Mm,
you wanna hear about blackout, we've done a whole episode on that.
we sure have. All right,
So
now I know you love French hardware, and last episode, by the way, was on French returns. So if you guys are
Mhm.
interested in that, definitely check it out. It would have been episode number 107. And Kim is very excited to tell us that it also comes with Ripplefold application.
Yes! I was such a nerd when I saw Helzer Brothers did a French return decorative traversing rod. Um, I could not believe it. I had a designer that we're gonna show you that said, "You know, I really want this to be ripple fold,
Mhm.
and I really want it to be French return." I went, "Huh,
Hmm.
okay, let me see."
Ta-da!
And this was and this was a project, that we did for a Jenny Madden design up in the Hamptons, and it was a, uh, baton draw, ripple
What is
folds,
underneath? Mhm.
blackout lines. So we had the overlap, and again, discussion of because it's blackout to do it with the overlap. So it was really exciting. That was the first one we ever installed here at Window Works. I
Mm.
want to say last year,
Mhm.
with the French return. Billy and Carlos were like, "Wow, they were like a French return track, ripple
Uh-huh.
fold." What they were,
That's really cool.
yeah, they were a little like,
I've
"Oh,
never
wow."
done one.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's kind of like my new favorite thing.
It's your new thing.
Yes, and I'm working on something today to see if I
Oh,
can pull it off, and if I
uh-huh.
can, and when we install it in, like, 2 months.
You'll let us you'll show it to us?
Oh, yeah, because I might start a trend with that too. So,
All right.
it's definitely I have
You
a
have me
client
all
who
intrigued.
I have a client who wants me to go a little thinking out of the box with the French return, and I told her flat out, "I've never done it before. You would be
Mm,
my guinea pig. Full disclosure, we're gonna test it, we're
mhm,
gonna try it.
mhm.
So, if it works,
Interesting.
it will
Okay. Now
definitely
now
be
you have me
featured."
like all like, "Ooh, what
Yeah,
is it? What is it?"
yeah, yeah, yeah. So we're going there. So
Okay,
we'll
so
see how
this
it goes.
project is very interesting. So overlap master, I see
Mhm.
you did not install all the way to the ceiling, and I'm
Nope.
seeing the center bracket. So talk to us about all of that.
So the cool thing about Helzer Brothers, again, because of the what they can hold weight wise,
Mhm.
we were able to go their bracket to bracket dimension on heavier panels is 72 inches on
Okay,
like
that's
heavy
big.
blackout.
Mhm.
So what's cool about that is normally in a decorative traversing rod on an application like this, Billy would have made me had the end bracket and then a bracket in the middle to support it just because of the weight of the bracket and or the strength of the bracket rather and the
Mhm.
strength
Rod.
of the rod.
Mhm.
So that's what I love about being able to do this French return in the traversing application because I've gone 12 feet
Mhm.
for a project down the shore
Mhm.
where we just had the one center bracket black outlined with rings.
Mhm.
And for this, we were able to then do it with the traversing. It's not as wide as 12 feet. I think it's a memory serves correctly, it's in between 10 and 11, but still pretty
Mhm.
wide.
Mhm. Mhm.
But that was the
It
cool
looks like a
thing.
6-foot window, probably 72-inch
Yeah.
window with maybe
And
10 inches on each side, so that's 92. So you're about
yeah,
8, 9 feet.
yeah. I mean, I again,
Yeah,
this
it
is
doesn't matter. Yep.
you're
Hmm.
but the cool part
Yeah.
about it is that you don't need all these brackets
Uh-huh.
because with the Helsler brothers, they do have, and they tell you they're on their website. It's really great. They tell you depending on the diameter of the
Hmm.
rod, what the
Hmm.
bracket to bracket application. And don't get me wrong, in the beginning when I first started ordering their stuff, I was ordering all types of brackets because that's what I was used to.
Sure.
And and they called me and they're like, "Why are you keep ordering all these brackets?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? For the simple,"
Uh-huh.
like, "No, you don't need
You
that."
don't need it.
And I'm like, "Oh, okay,
Cool.
that's
Nice.
cool." That I
Yep.
love that even better. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
so that was a really interesting thing. So it's really cool where we started with Ripplefold and how far we've come in the last, I mean,
Hmm.
I've been doing this 14 years. So to see like when all we had was the option of, the very basic Kirsch rod to now be able to do this application on
Actual
my
French
favorite.
returns. Yeah, that's really
It's
cool.
it's really cool to see how far it's coming with this whole transition. So
Nicely done, Kim. I'm
thank
looking
you.
forward to my next, hopefully, project of a ripple fold French return rod. Hopefully, one will come my way.
Oh, and Mimi, thank you for your comment. We did bracket deductions in Vita's class, even if you end up boring people. I think it's important for people to understand. Thank you.
Or
Yeah,
understand that they don't understand and need to ask you guys for help.
yeah. I mean, look, to this day, I still, when I'm in a funky application, I still divert to Billy and I
Hmm.
say, this is where I want to put it. This is what's going on.
Hmm.
What am I deducting?
I draw it out. Like I have sample of the rod,
Hmm.
I have my bracket, I have my finial. If it, well, it used to be a big finial, now it's smaller, so it's not as important. And actually draw it out. This is the top of my bracket. This is the bottom of my ring, top of the eyelet, and like
Hmm.
what is that dimension?
We have little pieces of like
Mm-hmm.
different vendors. So
Mm-hmm.
and Billy has cut like the 6 inches, like a tape measure
That's
broke.
right.
So he just has like a little like piece of tape measure and he'll
Mm-hmm.
just sit there and me and him will go back and forth and I'm like, it's a different bracket or it's a different this or
Yeah.
even yesterday we installed linen drapes on
Uh-huh.
existing French return rods that were up for a client. And
Yeah.
I already had taken a 1/2 inch off because
Uh-huh.
of I knew it was going to grow and shrink. And then
Yeah.
I went back and I was like, you know what, let's take it. And
Take
sure
another.
enough,
They grew more. Yeah.
hmm
Different topic altogether.
yeah,
So,
but
okay, you know what? We could totally geek out on bracket deductions. So let's put that into the
we'll
rotation.
let Stephanie know. I mean, it won't be a long episode. It'll be on the shorter
Mimi,
side,
I hope
but
you join us.
yeah.
There'll be one person on the line who won't be asleep. All right. Okay, you guys. So this completes our brief but kind of deep dive into the Ripplefold hardware and specifically into the master carriers of the Ripplefold hardware. And as always, before we let you go, we want to know that both Kim and I have some free goodies for you from Vitalia Inc., which is my company. We have a curated lookbook filled with inspiration and education. We call it 37 and a half window treatment ideas for you to use. No, steal,
You'll
swipe, and
swipe
use.
in.
I know, I need to like get that in my head. Steal, swipe, and use immediately in your next design project. And you can get it on our website, which is vitaliainc.com.
And if you are new to window treatments and you really want to get your 101 in education, Luann wrote a free ebook that is available on the WindowWorks website. Architectural Digest isn't coming. 10 things you need to know about custom window treatments. And
And you have another one.
yes, we have another one because if you are new to watching us here on Window Treatment Friday Live here at WindowWorks, we don't only specialize in window treatments, we have a whole awning division of our company. So if you have been baking in this crazy heat that we've been having here in at least here in Jersey, it's been very, very
Exactly.
hot the last couple weeks, and you want to come up with a shading solution for your backyard, head on over to our website. We have a free buying guide on 5 mistakes to avoid when buying a quality awning.
And if you want to follow Luann and everything that this busy woman is doing, you definitely need to listen and subscribe to her podcast, which is a well designed business and it's oriented towards interior designers. And if that wasn't enough, she also started another podcast called Window Treatment for Profit. And that one is oriented towards the window treatment pros, whether you're an installer, window treatment professional, retailer, workroom. This podcast is for you. And I am truly honored and privileged to have a weekly recurring a series that I call Vita's Tip in 10. It comes out every Thursday. And in 10 minutes, I give you one small but mighty tip to set you on your way to a better and more profitable window treatment business.
Yes, wonderful. Alrighty, and if you are in the New Jersey and New York area and you have a Ripplefold drapery project that you need help on, whether you are a homeowner or an interior designer, and if you're an interior designer out of town and have a project here, we would be happy to help you figure out which carrier you want to use and what hardware would be appropriate for your project.
And the same goes for us as well, but we are in the Philadelphia area. So if you are an interior designer in the Philadelphia area or have a project near us, we would love to support you. We are a one-stop shop, your go-to resource, the white glove service, concierge level service for luxury interior designers who are ready to fly first class in the world of window treatments. So please DM, PM, call us, and we'll be happy to support you.
Okay. All right, everyone. Well, that concludes our episode number 108 on Ripplefold drapery hardware. We hope you got some little nuggets, and we hope to see you next Friday
Because
because
it's Friday.
Friday it's
It's a
window
window
treatment
treatment Friday
Friday
live. Yep,
live
we can do it
every
together.
every Friday here at 9 a.m. Eastern. Yeah, we come to you and we give you try to impart our little bit of wisdom that we have.
Yep, we share our mistakes, our war stories, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Kim and I have been doing it for the last 2 years, over 2 years at this point. So join us here every Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern, as we unpack yet another beautiful, wonderful, sexy topic relating to window treatments.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye.